Good morning. My name is Barbara Bynum, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the forum. Thank you so much for coming out and joining us every week. Those of us who organize the forum do so because we really believe in this program and we believe in putting out good information to the community. And it is a validation that we're doing a good job when we see so many of you come out on early cold mornings. So thank you for being here. We are continuing our multi-part series, What's Happening in 2020, and today the focus is on Montrose County. They have a lot of information packed in, so with no further ado, I'm going to turn over the mic to Katie, who will introduce herself and the rest of the county team. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Okay, good morning. Are we going up? Okay, is that good? Perfect. You'll have to forgive me, I'm kind of fighting a cold. I'm Katie Yergensen. I'm the Media Relations Manager for Montrose County. So myself and Erica Story handle all the external communications for the county. You probably know this, it's to include our social media, web, anything related to external communications. So in the past, and I'm going to dive right in, as Barbara said, we have a really kind of tight timeline. I've got a lot of speakers and I want to make sure we have time for everybody. I've spoken to you about transparency, and I wanted to take a few minutes today to really delve into what that module is. So if you haven't been, here's our lovely county website. You'll have to forgive me, I'm going to head over here so I can kind of navigate too. So if you scroll down from the website, you'll see this graphic link here for transparency. If you click on it, it takes you right through to our transparency site. And the best part about this software is that it actually ties with the county's financial software. It gives you almost real-time information as to what the county is spending. So this is your money. You can type in common questions in here. You can see what our budget is, our operating budget, our revenue, what our operating budget is. The total budget is actually down here a little bit further. So you can see what our adopted budget is for the year, a financial statement, and go back to the home page. I think this is pretty neat because you can even start looking into vendors, you can look at payroll. It's really important. So it provides you an opportunity to even go down by individual division or department should you choose. So again, that gives you a 24/7 real-time view. This is open, it's accessible, you can look at it any time of the day, 3 a.m. should you desire, and you can also print, you can really truly do whatever you need, and hopefully it should help answer questions. We've seen that it has decreased slightly the number of open records requests that we've received, but this software, just for background, it's pretty inexpensive for the county, but the commissioners felt that it was absolutely crucial to have. They wanted the public to know where all of our dollars were being spent. So I would highly encourage you to take a moment, look at the software. If you have any questions regarding county spending, to please go on here and learn a little bit more. And if you have any questions, get a hold of me. So the other thing, and we're going really quick today, I want to segue in. I want to talk a little bit about the courthouse. So many of you probably joined us for our courthouse tour recently in, I believe it was August. And at that time, we were anticipating some numbers in December. Well, that date got pushed back just a little bit. So we will have some numbers in March. And at that time, the commissioners will look at those numbers and determine whether or not that this is a project to move forward with. So I just wanted to give you a brief update on that because I know that that's of importance. So without further ado, I'm actually going to turn it over to Emily Sanchez. She is our Event Center and Fairgrounds Director, and she does have a presentation for you.
Good morning. As she said, I'm Emily Sanchez. I'm your Fairgrounds and Event Center Director. I wanted to take just a minute to introduce one of my teammates. Her name is Sarah Fishering. Sarah Fishering is our Event Center Event Manager. She came on board with us last June, and since that time she has expanded our reach at the Event Center. She's improved our processes and our communications. And I think between the two of us we have a lot to look forward to in 2020. So today I am specifically talking about the Event Center and kind of the events we have coming up in 2020. As just a show of hands, how many people have not been to the Event Center yet? I'd be very interested to talk to you afterwards and kind of figure out what event would entice you to come through our doors. So I will definitely be seeking you guys out. But just a quick recap of the building. We're 93,000 square feet. We have 1,727 fixed seats, but a total capacity of 6,000 people. Beyond the indoor arena, there are 3 meeting rooms, a banquet room, and then kitchen, shower, and ticketing facilities. Our main objectives of the Event Center, in the very simplest statement, is we are looking to create a positive economic impact for the community while not becoming a drain on county resources. So when we're looking for events, talking to promoters, trying to fill dates, we really consider these 3 things. These are the 3 categories we're after. The first one is to attract out-of-town guests, to bring those outside dollars to Montrose. The second is to help the bottom line, to offset some of our operating costs. And lastly, we want to support the greater community. If it's an event that a lot of the citizens are going to benefit from, we want to host it. So we opened our doors in late April of 2018. In our first 8 months of operation, we had 26,000 people through our doors. In 2019, our first full year, we had 45,000 people through our doors. And our goal for 2020 is 60,000 people. So the 2020 events, these are our major events. We kicked off with the Lori Morgan Aaron Tippin concert, where we had 1,900 people through the doors. Last weekend, we were able to host the Montrose Memorial Hospital for their employee appreciation dinner. We had 700 people there. Next month, we'll have the Uncompahgre Cattlemen's Banquet. Usually they have 300 to 350 people. Mid-February, we get to host the 2A, 3A Regional Wrestling. This is one of our very favorite events. It really showcases the Event Center and what we can do. If you consider who qualifies for 2A, 3A, the only close school is Olathe. Beyond that, everybody has to travel to Montrose to compete. It happens in February, where there's not a lot of other things going on, and the community can handle the influx of people. So it's a really good event. In March, we'll host a Hispanic concert, followed by a second wrestling. The Rocky Mountain Nationals elementary and middle school wrestling on this particular weekend, there's 6 regional wrestlings across the state. Last year, we were the second largest region with 650 wrestlers. So it was a really good event, very much like the high school one. It happens in March when there's not a lot going on, and we can handle those people and it benefits the community. In April, we'll host the Mountain Nose Dog Trials. This is sanctioned by the National Scent Dog Association. It's a high-level competition. It's not a big competition. There's 35 dogs. This year, their goal is 50. But the cool thing is there's not a lot of competitions like this across the United States. So last year, we had dogs from New Jersey, Rhode Island, Oregon, California, Texas, well, obviously I'm a dog fan, but I mean, you had your little yappers up to your purebred mutts. It was a really cool event. In April, we'll host our very first Rocky Mountain Oyster Festival. April is branding season in our agricultural community, so it's kind of an opportunity to showcase our agricultural community. We'll have local vendors there serving up different flavors of Rocky Mountain oysters, amongst other things. We're tying it with our red dirt of our event center. If you've been in the event center, you've walked away with some red dirt. So we'll have red dirt music, which is Texas country band music, to go with our oysters. In May, we'll host the Nationwide Home Expos. We hosted nationwide for the first time last August. Over 2 days, they had 2,900 people through their doors. This is kind of a neat one because they attract vendors from local vendors, regional vendors, and vendors from the Front Range. So you kind of get more variety when you come to these home shows. Also in May, we get to host Montrose and Olathe High School graduation. We've hosted Montrose High School graduation for the last 2 years. This will be our 3rd year. We'll host Olathe graduation this year just because they are renovating their track and they needed a place. I anticipate this is kind of a one-time deal, but we're excited to have them. Towards the end of May, we turn over to an equine facility. So the end of May, June, July, we really gear towards attracting competitors to our arena. There's a lot going on in Montrose and regionally during the summer, and a lot to compete with in regards to entertainment dollars. So instead, we're kind of gearing towards our equine events. We kick off with the national team roping. This is a nationally sanctioned event. Whenever they come to town, they're giving away purses of $8,000 to $10,000 and usually between 5 and 10 saddles. So ropers travel, across the state from Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico to come to these ropings. We usually get 150 to 200 ropers per weekend. We'll host them in May for a 2-day event, again in August for a 2-day event, and then in September for a 2-day event. Also in June, we'll host the Mile High Barrel Race. Like the NTR, they're known for their big purses. We have not hosted them. This will be the first time, but we're anticipating we'll get competitors from a further distance. The Colorado Reined Cow Horse was truly our first big equine event. We hosted them in 2018 for a 3-day show. Last year, we were able to host them in July for a 3-day show, and then in September for a 4-day show. In 2020, we'll host them in July for 4 days, and again in September for 4 days. They're attracting about 150 competitors, and they're coming in on a Wednesday and leaving on a Sunday, so it is kind of a good economic impact for our community. In August, we get to host the Olathe Sweet Corn Festival again. We have no details on who their artists are, but we are patiently waiting, or kind of. As I mentioned, September we'll have the NTR, the CRCA, and then we get to host our third Mountain States Ranch Rodeo in the event center. Last year they had 3,000 people through their doors over 2 days. They have 16 teams that are made up of 5 competitors each. This year they're looking at expanding their format, so they're either going to add a women's division or bronc riding. So either way, I think that'll be pretty exciting. In October, we get to host the Colorado Pro Rodeo Finals again. This is basically the top 12 cowboys in every event in the state of Colorado come to Montrose to compete over 3 rodeo performances. In 2019, we had 3,900 people through the doors for this event. It was awesome. It was great. If you went, you were sitting basically right on top of the bull. Probably got a little bull snot, because that's just how close you are to the action. It's a super cheap ticket. It's $10, so it's affordable to take the whole family. The Cowboys loved it. We worked really well with the association. It was a fun time. Also in October, we'll host Nationwide Home Show again for a fall show. Very similar to the May show, but kind of geared more towards the holiday stuff. And then this year, we get to host the Capitol Christmas Tree. If you have not heard, the Grand Mesa Uncompahgre has been selected to provide the Capitol Christmas Tree this year, and they need a place to pack it. We don't know exactly what that means, but we will have a hand in packing the Christmas tree that heads to the Capitol this year. And that kind of sums up what we have for 2020. It's not all of our events, but it's definitely the highlights that we have right now. I hope that there's questions, but I think we're holding off to the end. So I would like to introduce Jennifer Sherwood, our new Human Services Director.
Good morning. Thank you, Emily. That was a fantastic presentation. I am Jennifer Sherwood. I am the new Human Services Director for Montrose County. In Human Services, we provide child protective services, child support enforcement, eligibility, Colorado Works, child care assistance, employment first and adult protective services, and single entry point. Our child protective services is child welfare. We help to maintain families in the home, and if a child needs to be removed temporarily, we do that, but our goal ultimately is to help the child return back home to their families and prepare the families to raise the child with the help that they need. Child support enforcement is a program to make sure that the custodial parent is receiving the support that they need to raise their child properly. In eligibility, that is our assistance programs for food assistance, cash assistance, and medical assistance. We help individuals age birth until they pass away. We have nursing facility programs, home care programs for individuals that are in the home that need extra assistance so that they don't have to go into the nursing home. We help low-income families pay for their heating costs, their food bills, and if they need assistance making ends meet for their utilities and rent. Colorado Works is a cash program for families that are very low income. They are to help the individual become self-sufficient. We do our best to help individuals in this program find employment, gainful employment, and remain in employment so that they don't have to return to the benefit system. Child Care Assistance Program works hand in hand with Colorado Works. It is to help provide care for children so that the parents can work and have gainful employment. The Employment First program works with the food assistance recipients to help them find gainful employment and remain employed and off of the system as well. The Adult Protective Services is for our elderly and disabled individuals that may be at risk, who need assistance, that there is a concern within the community that they are at risk, so that we can help them, probably prevent them from going into a nursing home or live in situations that are not healthy. And Single Entry Point works hand in hand with Adult Protect Services. They assess individuals that are elderly and or disabled to determine what level of care they need within their home, and or if they need to be placed into a nursing facility, which facility that they best qualify to be placed in. All of these programs work very closely together to support the community, to provide the services that they need so that we can be a healthy, happy community. And with that, I am going to turn this over to Jim Austin, our new Public Health Director.
Good morning. My name is Jim Austin. I serve as the new Public Health Director here from Montrose County, and I want to go through just a few bullet points on our programs. These are the main areas of public health. First is environmental health. This was my previous assignment. When you think of the health inspector at the health department, that's generally environmental health. That includes the food inspections of restaurants and groceries. It includes child care, schools, and we work on environmental complaints. We regulate the septic tank pumpers and body artists as well. Emergency preparedness and response. We have one employee who handles emergency preparedness and our communicable disease response in case of outbreaks. We have a contract with the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment to ensure our capacity to respond to emergency events. Immunizations, self-explanatory. This is our clinic. Also, just 2 bullet points down, family planning and immunizations are both housed in our public health clinic by a nurse practitioner and a registered nurse. Women, infants, and children, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Kids Thrive and HCP, this is care for special needs children, and our role at the health department is to help connect families with special needs children to the needed care. An example of this is our specialty clinic, where the CU School of Medicine providers just use our facility and reimburse us for the cost of that. And then we work to make the arrangements to actually host the clinic, but they're actually seen by the School of Medicine providers. And then health education and promotion is part of everything we do. In all of our programs, for example, health inspections, there's a regulatory part of that. Restaurants and groceries have to follow food safety rules, but there's a lot of education, providing resources so that people know what the rules are and how to comply with them. But health education and promotion is a part of everything we do. Whoop, excuse me. And so with that, I think Keith, you're next.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Keith Laube. I'm the Public Works Director for Montrose County, and it's a lot of good information here this morning. So we're talking a little about road and bridges. Public Works also includes fleet. We have a group of 9 people that take care of all the vehicles in the county, and they do an excellent job. And our new facility has a great mechanic shop in it. So here's some facts. We had a sales tax that passed in 2008, which really has helped the road and bridge department. We take care of a lot of infrastructure. Since 2008, we replaced 20 bridges. 4 new bridges, and the other 16 were box culverts, which are easier to maintain and a longer life. We improved over 111 miles of roads by paving, doing overlays. That's about 9 miles a year. And overall, we retained 1,379 miles of roads. Almost 300 miles of these are paved, and then we have about 480 miles of gravel roads, and the rest are primitive or native roads. So we have a lot of infrastructure. Montrose County is a big county. And so, is this a slide there? Okay. So, trying to determine how we're doing our roads, we decided to rate them. You remember in grade school or high school, you got grades A, B, C, D, and probably not F, hopefully. But so the roads, we did the same thing. So we rated a road. This is basically a brand new road. It's in mint condition, I would say. A B road. Maybe it's a little bit older, has a few cracks starting to appear in it. That's a B grade. A C road is a road that's had cracks. We've already crack sealed. You can see the crack seal, but overall it's still a pretty good ride. A D road is getting. We have a few of these left yet. Been quite a bit of patching, a lot of crack sealing. Might be a little rough. The F road I didn't put on there. F road, we don't have any more of those, but that would be a road that you'd have to slow down. So over the years, we sort of tracked from 2008 what our grade point average was on our roads. So we started out, we were about a C plus average. Our goal is to get to B average, and that's about where we're getting close to that right now. We were going out and rating these every year, and now we're doing it about every 3 or 4 years. So in 2020, we'll rate the roads again. So the last 2 years are just estimates of what we think our roads are at. And this was a really good chart, a lot of lines in it. The purple line is the D roads, and if you looked in 2008, we had about 60 miles of those roads that had potholes and were really rough. And now in 2019, we're down to about maybe a handful of miles. We're going to try to get those all repaired this year, and hopefully none of the C roads turn into D roads. So it's a progression, but really our roads have improved a lot in the last 10 years. How is this happening? What's the funding? The bottom line, the green line, is our called HUTF, our Highway Use Tax Fund, and that's when you register your vehicle, as well as you at the gas pump, you're paying a gas tax, as well as everybody else that travels through the state of Colorado, and that is divided up to each city and county based on miles of roads, square feet of bridge deck, as well as motor vehicle registrations. And so over time that has slowly increased as our population increased. We did have a big bump in 2018. There were some allocations from the state government to give counties and cities more money. The red line is our sales tax that was passed in 2008. Really the first 3 or 4 years it was pretty low, but as the economy has picked up, so has everybody's spending. And that's something we have to watch, because the economy slows down, that fund stream will decrease. But right now, the sales tax provides about 60% of our funding. Here's some pictures, some overlays we did in the last year here. Just some of our crews out. And here's a bridge replaced up on Cimarron Road with a box culvert. That was taken by a drone survey camera. This is probably a real hard map to read, but this is what proposed in 2020. We have about 30 miles we're going to pave or overlay, and about 14 miles is going to be in the NUCLA area. We have not done much paving in the last 20 years in NUCLA, and so there's some roads there that need some attention before they get, idea is to get them overlaid before they turn into a D road or an F road. Then we have to rebuild them, so it's more, it's less expensive to do it when they're about a C road. And so we're going to do 14 miles in the NUCLA area, and the about 14 or 15 miles here in Montrose. We're going to do Gunnison Road, East Mesa Road, the North River Road, The road to the landfill has some bad spots in it, and just some other roads here and there. It's probably really hard to read, but this information is on our website as well. And right now we're out to bid for 2 paving projects, one in the nuclear area and then one here in Montrose, so that's out to bid right now. And guess what? Next is Scott Hawkins. Thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. My name's Scott Hawkins. I'm the Montrose County Emergency Manager. Fairly new at this. Started in October. And anyways, I just kind of, if you guys don't know what emergency management does, I'm just going to give you a real quick overview on this. We basically plan for what if and what happens when if happens. So, and that means anything from natural, man-made disasters, floods, fires, pandemics, work with the public health department on that kind of type thing with our fire and EMS. We work a lot with the state, like Colorado Forest Service, the West Region Wildfire Council for fire mitigation, because obviously it's one big concern of ours in this county is a fire. It's kind of one of those deals. It's not if, it's when that fire hits our county. We've been very fortunate to not really be super susceptible to that yet, but we work with the Forest Service a lot on how we maintain our forests and mitigate those fire hazards. Same with the floods, with runoffs and everything to that nature. Other ifs are, we work with the fire and EMS locally for like mass casualties, see with our airport, and that we do a lot with that. Plan for that. We have to write a lot of the plans for that if happens, and what do we do in those events. It's quite a bit of work what we do. I work a lot with our county managers and our attorneys and the Board of County Commissioners. Thank you guys. They're a very big support of emergency management, and without their support it would be very hard for us to do that, to support our community in an event that something happens. Like I said, Montrose is a big county and it's a lot of work to do to work with all of the towns and everything inside this county, and to make sure that we do our due diligence as the best that we can, so when in time of need we're there for our citizens, that we can support them and get most disasters, or it's always said that they start locally, they may go federally, but they also end locally. So we work on recovery process. How do we recover from, because of a fire or something and mass casualty anything, the recovery process could be years. I mean, after the feds leave and they do their thing and they're gone, we're still dealing with that, you know, in your guys' homes and livelihoods for, it could be months, years. So that's something that we look at as recovery plans, and what do we do for those stages after a natural or man-made disaster. So that's one of the things that we work on. We have to write those plans. I'm in the process of writing the new emergency operations plan. It's going to be something I'm going to work with our county commissioners and our attorneys this year. It hasn't been updated since 2016. So it's something that I'm going to look at as trying to update and get with our local partners. We do a lot of work with our local or our regional emergency managers, the counties that surround us. Because again, a natural disaster, man-made disaster, they don't know county lines. So if something happens, we're more than likely going to be working with Uray or San Miguel, Gunnison counties and Hinsdale. So we work real close with them as a regional emergency management team. We train together, in that way we know each other when I need to go there or they need to come here. We know each other. So we do a lot of that. Actually, we meet monthly, or sometimes more than monthly, and just to go over things. So we do that, but we also work with state and the federal government. We do a lot of trainings with the FEMA and stuff like that, because to get familiar with those partners and the Department of Homeland Security, we do a lot of work with them, because there will be that chain of command of how it goes up depending on the size of the disaster, and then how it comes back down. So we do a lot of that. We also, like I said, we work with our public health, because of one of the biggest risks to all of us, especially with our airport, is an epidemic or a pandemic. You guys may remember when Grand Junction had the Nora virus that closed down all the schools. We were also working with Mesa County Public Health in that. We worked with Katie to get some notification out to our schools to say, hey, let's try to slow this down before it hits Montrose County. And I think we did a pretty decent job. It hit right at that Thanksgiving time, which was really good for us. But that's kind of the things that behind the scenes we were working so that didn't hit our schools as hard as it hit Grand Junction, because they just didn't see it coming, I don't think. So we also work with the public health department. I know you guys all, like in Emily at the event center, the drive-through flu clinic. Did any of you guys do that this year? Couple hands. We also help put that event on. It's a great event. We're hoping it just keeps to expand. We did 1,000 vaccinations in just over 2 hours this year. We actually ran out of vaccinations, so we're looking at trying to get more this year. And we're also looking at doing that with our regional partners. They also do drive-through flu clinics, but they're usually on different days. We're going to try to do that all at the same exact time on the same exact day. The reason is that there is a pandemic and it comes down through the state or feds. They only give you X amount of hours to vaccinate your population. So you have to be able to administer those vaccinations in a certain time frame. So we want to try to do it regionally with our partners at the same time to see how many we can do regionally at the same exact time. So if there's any questions, we'd be more than happy to answer them after that. But I appreciate you guys coming. Thank you.
Okay, we're actually a little bit more efficient than I thought. So everybody, right now, I'm actually going to have all the directors come up. We're going to make everyone available for questions. So
I'll pass the mic for
Perfect.
questions and raise your hand and I'll bring it over to you. I see a gentleman on my way.
So I have a shout out for the county. Several years ago, when you'd go to a county budget meeting to adopt the budget, there'd be people there with pitchforks and hot tar. And there was a queue of people waiting for court requests. You just said that the amount of court requests dropped off significantly, and I think that at the last meeting that approved the budget, there was like one person there, and I think that really points to the trust that the citizens have in our current county government. So I really think it's. I wish everybody would give the county a big hand.
thank you so much. That is really kind. The county has definitely changed in the nearly 8 years that I've been here. And I mean, I will say, I think a lot of it's attributed to our leadership right now. Our board is absolutely committed to transparency, and that's the reason that they invested in this product. It's one of our favorite things, but we want to do everything, with our community members first and foremost in mind.
I can see hands from here. You don't have to see me. I'm looking at the room. Any hands? Until I see another. I'm so surprised I'm one of the few hands that went up about the drive-through flu clinic. It's so awesome because for those of us who don't like getting shots, you don't have any of that anxiety because you're in your car. It's great. So I'll put my plug in for that.
On the event center, the nose dogs, will Tigo be participating?
Tigo. Oh, we should get him to participate. I'll have to talk to Mr. Searcy about that. But no, it's not really police dogs, it's personal dogs. So it's people that this is their hobby. It's not necessarily drugs, it's more like scents. So they do a whole different array from lavender to whatever. I haven't smelled it, haven't gone through the course, but it is, it's pretty cool. It is not a spectator sport because they're literally going through the janitor's closets, across the equipment, so it's not really something you can watch. It's definitely just kind of the hobby for the people. Huh, interesting.
In regard to vaccinations, I saw on the news this morning that nationally, support for vaccinations is down 10%, from 94 to 84%. And I don't know if it's misinformation being spread, but is that a problem in the county where we have a lot of folks that don't believe in the vaccinations or whatever?
I'm going to start and then I want to pass it to Jim. It's funny that you mentioned that because Dr. Vader, I don't know if you're familiar with her, she's a pediatric doctor locally. She helped support the drive-through flu clinic this year, and she and I actually had that exact same discussion. Over the past several years, interestingly enough, our vaccines locally at the drive-through clinic have gone up significantly. And she said within her career that she sees an ebb and flow. And that is based on certainly people's information, trust in vaccine, trust in doctors, any authority figures. But within our clinic, and she was saying that she's experienced the same at Pediatric Associates, that they have seen an increase in people accepting the vaccines at this time, and maybe they're on a delayed schedule or they're following recommended schedules. So we may be a little bit different here, Montrose, than national averages. But I will have Jim answer that as well.
Thank you for that question. One of the tasks that we do under our immunization contract with the state is to track vaccination coverage in the various counties. That's available on the state health website. I would need to talk to our nurse practitioner to answer your question. I'm also aware there's a fair amount of activity in the newly started legislative session, as you're probably aware on this topic.
Scott, question for you. So the information I've received from some of our emergency responders is that you're doing a really good job in coordinating and getting people to work together. I think one of the important things with emergency response is citizen engagement, and I really haven't heard a lot about that as being a citizen of what we're doing, what my personal responsibilities are, and what can I expect from the county.
That's a great question. I appreciate that. Very much of what emergency management is building relationships and partnerships, and that also includes the citizens of Montrose County. It is one of my goals in 2020 is to get the citizens more informed and more apart. Partially that's a lot of working with the West Region Wildfire Council as well, and I don't want to just be wildfire based. But we go to citizens' properties and we will do free evaluations, and then they can offer if you need your property cleaned up. There's grants that are available that they can come in and they can help offset. That's one of the ways that we're working with the community, the citizens of the community. But it's also, we're looking at emergency alert systems that, with Katie educating the public on that, getting them involved, as well as one of my goals in the near future is also to start educating and getting citizens involved in their own preparedness in their homes, and putting out an education system and getting people to, like, do you have water? How many days of water do you have? Do you have anything? If we lost electricity, if we, all that kind of stuff, what would you do? So it is a push that we're going to do. It's on my radar, and definitely look forward to doing that with all of the towns in Montrose County.
And Jim, I'm going to add to that. So I pulled up the Montrose County Sheriff's Office website. It's actually designed internally by Erica, but we have the emergency management is a division within the SO. On their website, there are quick links on the bottom. So some things that are important, if you haven't signed up for Code Red, our emergency notification system, you can do so through there. If you have a landline, your landline is automatically enrolled. However, if you would like cell phone notifications, whether it be email, text, or a phone call, you can sign up there. But on our quick links, we have a bunch of other information. So if you'd like information about our wildfire plan, if you would like all, county hazard plan, the HMPs, and there are also some personal information there. So it's important for emergency management, for the better prepared that our community members are, the better Montrose County will be able to respond and react to any kind of emergency situation. So just like Scott was saying, thinking about your plans for preparedness. So rural America, as a rule of thumb, is typically better prepared than the cities are. In the past, we've always heard, how many days of food does Walmart have? I mean, you can only drive so fast for bread and milk and potentially water. So those are things to think about in your home. Have a case of water available. Have a couple cases, rotate them out. Think about potentially, do you need a generator? Are you on a well? Would that help continue to sustain your family for a few days should there be a power outage? CO Ready, Colorado Ready. It's the state's division of emergency management. They have a lot of great resources and actually template plans that you can download from their website. Those are great plans, really easy to take advantage of, but we typically share a lot of their stuff on social media as well.
Thank you. I think there's a question back here.
Yes. Do you think the event center will ever break even? For instance, the last concert was not that successful.
We have a long way to go to break even. So right now, in 2019, our actual revenue was about 400,000. Our operating costs were closer to 700,000, and then we had a debt service payment about 331,000. So we're not there. We are working to, like I said, not become a drain on county resources, to recoup most of our, or what we can in our operating costs. I don't see in the next 5 to 10 years that we will be at that break-even point. In regards to the concert, we did lose money. The final numbers came in at about $7,800. Of that loss, $2,500 was a fixed cost, so it was labor and utilities we would have had, whether we had an event or not. It was our second concert. Our first concert, we actually did well. We made money. We went downhill on this one, but we are looking towards a new opportunity. We learned a lot from that concert. Unfortunately, experience is probably the best education, but it does come at a cost.
So I'm looking for more hands for questions. I see one coming up there.
I'd like to ask about your services for rent assistance or housing assistance. I'm curious as to whether that is provided only for your existing clients or whether there's emergency help available. And then also, are you doing anything to address the longer-term situation of affordability of housing?
Okay, so actually regarding actual rent assistance, we don't provide that. That's through the Montrose County Housing Authority. But we do assist individuals by providing them with cash assistance through our adult financial programs and our temporary aid to needy families programs. Those are based off of household size, household age, and income if there is any. And those are all federally based. Regarding utility assistance, our LEAP program right now, the Low Income Energy Assistance Program, is currently happening right now. It started November 1st and runs through April 30th. The income limits this year greatly or significantly increased. So a household of one, the income limit is $2,316. And for an individual that qualifies, they can get between $200 and $700 in assistance that is paid directly to their vendor unless they use wood, heat, or coal. And in that instance, and even propane, we will give the money to the individual to purchase that product so that they can heat their home. We do not have any long-term goals to help individuals with housing costs. Unfortunately, that is not part of our programs, but Montrose County Housing Authority just opened up the Woodgate Trails apartments recently, and they are beautiful. They are low cost, and it opened up 50 apartments to help mitigate the high cost of rent in this area, and which in turn opened up a lot of even lower cost apartments that individuals moved from into those apartments.
There we go. I didn't even have to ask. I just had to give you a look.
I just have a really specific road question regarding the road up in Cimarron. The bridge that was being replaced this summer, it seemed like work stopped, and it's halfway done, and I was wondering if you could update that.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple of bridges. We did one we completed last winter, and then this summer the next bridge up the hill where we did some earthwork, had some earthwork done because that was the one that's really tight curve, very dangerous visibility, and so yeah, what happened was we got everything lined up, and basically the ditch water flowed longer this year than we anticipated. And so typically they'll draw it down just for livestock water which this year was half ditch flow, and so it's really hard to bypass. We did get the box culvert in. We were working up there before the holidays, and now we're taking a break, and we'll be back probably here in the next month or so and try to get that finished up, and then we have to basically get the road's going to get rerouted a little bit, and then we'll pull the old bridge out. So we'll see how the spring weather goes and what we can get done. But that'll be a great improvement on the safety of that road.
Great. What? I saw some other hands that time. Here we go. Okay.
I am a road biker, and I guess I think it was the county that redid Chipeta Road maybe a couple of years ago, and I was just disappointed that when it's a fine job for driving a car on, but it's really nasty. It's a very busy road, and it has a lot of bike traffic on it. It's kind of disappointed that they didn't do hardly anything. I mean, there's like 6 inches of pavement beyond the white line, and it's kind of a conflict between cars and bikes, especially there. I realize a lot of the county, it's not a conflict. I go out west of town, and man, there's hardly any cars on the road. You certainly don't need any kind of edge for bikers, but I'm just wondering, how does the county decide what to do and where to do it as far as bike lanes? Is it a priority at all?
Great question. I'm a bicyclist too, so I'm out there and understand what you're working with. Marine Drive was basically an overlay. We didn't do any widening or shoulder work or anything. So that was done prior before I was here. But we do look at that now. The city's bike trail is getting expanded, so we'll keep looking at how the bike community, where they want to go. Chipeta is a narrow, it's a busy road. Long term it probably needs to be wider or shoulder on that road, because I know people bike and walk on that road, and then it connects to the bike trail as well. So that's a process. We look at every year what infrastructure we're going to do. Right now we're not going to do anything on Chipeta for a while since we just overlaid it. But something you can email me, or I get comments throughout the year, different bikers, and they all have different areas where they bike and where they like to see better pavement or wider roads. It's tough. Our right of way is not really wide in a lot of our roads, so it's really tough to do a lot.
Wait, okay, I'm gonna see if anyone else has a new question, and if not, I'll come back to you guys. But anyone who hasn't had a chance to ask a question. Then I'll catch you guys.
I'm wondering how effective the magnesium chloride applications are being, and talk a little bit about the economy of it. I see the graders going up and down my road pretty often, and I just wonder how it works money-wise.
Okay. The magnesium chloride is a product we put on our gravel roads. It controls dust. It also maintains a firmer, prevents the base of the road from washboarding. So we do apply magnesium chloride on roads that have more than 160 vehicles a day, and then we also apply it on roads that are curvy or hilly, because once washboards appear, we'd be out there grading every week to make the roads safe. And so we put the magnesium chloride on the roads every spring, and it pretty much lasts throughout the year. It really depends on how much rain or the weather. But it's very effective. There's some cost to that, but for the safety and the dust control, it works really well. And the other part of the question was,
does it cost a lot of money? I think that was, how?
Yeah.
Compared to asphalt.
Yeah.
Compared to asphalt.
Yeah, so it's really based on the road count. So basically, if it's less than 160 vehicles a day, we just leave it gravel. We can maintain it with a grader. When you get more than 160 vehicles, we put the magnesium chloride, which actually keeps the gravel on the road, because if you have 200 vehicles a day, every vehicle drives down the road, you have rocks flying in the ditch, you just lose gravel. And so there's some cost savings to doing the magnesium chloride where we don't have to apply gravel as much. Once you get more than, every county is different, maybe 400 vehicles a day or 350 vehicles a day, then you start looking at, well, maybe paving's a better option, because the magnesium chloride, you have that many vehicles on the road, the magnesium chloride can sometimes fall apart on you. Then you have to apply more. You have to put more magnesium chloride on the first place. So there's a lot of variables in there, and it sometimes just depends on the year and the weather. I hope that answers your question.
And actually, I'm going to add to that. If you have an issue with your road, because of course, website is kind of my thing. These graphic links, if you click on report a concern, so this actually goes directly to our road and bridge staff, so they know immediately. And obviously, we're working 5 days a week. If we get it over the weekend, we'll address it in Monday morning. But you can use it for a variety of different things. So you can contact me. You can contact the Board of County Commissioners, Building Maintenance, Road and Bridge, or if you would like to contact our Veteran Service Officer. But typically, these concerns are taken care of within a matter of a few days. So if you feel your road is, we've had some that our roads are too bumpy. We've had some questions as to, hey, when's my road going to get paved? So we want to encourage open lines of communication. So please use the graphic link to contact us.
I'm going to add one thing to that. We have over 1,300 miles of roads, so obviously staff, we can't be on the roads every day. So if there's a safety concern, definitely contact us. We've had several citizens here in the last month or two point things out to us that we were not aware of yet, and we could get out there and address them.
Thank you.
On your financial ledger software that's viewable by the public, what was the installation cost and licensing cost for that? And then are those entries automated, or is that manual entry to be viewable by the public?
Sure. To the best of my recollection, I believe it was about $7,500 to actually set up the system. So it runs through Tyler Technologies, which is the county's financial software. So that's the benefit of that, is actually just ties into Tyler. It is something that is, automatically updated. And you'll see on it too, it'll tell you when the most recent update is. Our ongoing costs, I believe, and I don't want you to hold me to it, but I feel like it's $2,500 a year.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, Jim?
So, Keith, the question I have for you is, and I ask this every time, the county presents, but it's the working with the city's public works department, the communication that you have with them. I attended the comprehensive plan update for the city, and Chipeta was brought up, and it more on a pedestrian idea than necessarily bicycles. And so, the question I would have is, does the county follow what's going on with the city comprehensive plan? And the other thing I have, and I always ask this, is the county uses an ABCD grading for roads, and the city uses an entirely different grading system. So as a citizen, how can we compare how the county's roads are with respect to the city's roads?
Okay, great questions. Between the city and county, we do work together, and then the comprehensive plan is a combination of the planning department and then public works. And Chipeta's an interesting one. It's right on the border between it's in the county, but become city someday, and that's something we don't know. But I was in some of those meetings where you have pedestrians trying to put traffic along Chipeta. There's no safe place to walk, and so it is a concern. As far as what was the other question?
Grading. Roads and
grading. We developed this system 10 years ago. It's simple for us. There's lots of different ways to grade roads. There's some technology you can use that's expensive. You can drive the roads and determine more. This seems simple. I thought it was more simple for the public to understand than some other systems that the state uses or cities uses. So, there's some differences between driving on a city street and then a county road. The speeds are different, so sometimes the drivability, the aspects are different. I guess what the traveling public needs to have. So I don't really have a good answer for that one. That's something we just use the ABCD because it's an easy one to communicate to the public, and we can see how the roads are improving or changing.
Great. Thank you very much. It's so cool to see what's going on at the county. I know the relationships between the county and the city are at an all-time high. And I just really appreciate you guys coming to Forum this morning. Let's give them a big round of applause. sure that if you have individual questions, they would be happy to stick around, but I do know they have a Board of County Commissioners meeting this morning at 9:30. So if you want to see them in action, you can just go there too and see how that works. I will tell you that your question about streets was a great segue into next week's topic, because next week we're going to hear what's happening at the city. So, fantastic. We hope you all can make it out next week. I think the city has a similar presentation lined up, but I think comparing the two will really highlight how, in what ways the city and the county have some of the same issues, like roads, and in what ways they have totally different spheres of responsibilities. I think the contrast will be really great to see, and I hope that you can all make it. Have a fantastic week.